Good evening, YouTube. Welcome back to Paisano's Music and Vinyl Talk. I'm your host, Paisano, joined by my lovely co-host, Sean BF. Say
Hey
hello to her.
guys!
There she is, in all her glory. Tonight, we're going to talk about the Velvet Underground. Now, you want to talk about an original act. For better or worse, these guys were about as original as they come. And it's their album, I believe it's their first album, The Velvet Underground and Nico. Now, Nico was a German model and a singer of sorts. She's listed as a chanteuse on here, which would be like a supper club singer or not really a rock and roll singer. And she really wasn't a rock and roll singer. She was, I don't know. I don't know if you could even really call it singing what she did. She was all right, but she fit this album perfectly because this was one wild album. From what it's the cover features my Genevieve just inquired about the album cover with the banana, and she this one loves bananas more than any other fruit, right? Right? You love your potassium. And this was a painting done by Andy Warhol, who was a New York City-based artist in the 60s. And he's listed as the producer in this album. Now, from what I read, I've never known Andy Warhol to produce a record, and he certainly didn't produce this one. I'm sure the engineers, Tom Wilson, Gene Radis, and David Green did the heavy lifting on this album. Andy Warhol pretty much just financed the whole project, and Lou Reed and company were given free rein to do whatever they wanted to do, and that's you're going to get something memorable when 1966 Lou Reed is given a license to do whatever he wants, and they delivered. This album is absolutely like nothing else in the mid-60s. Very enjoyable listen. This is a reissue that came out in 1984, I believe. I've owned it forever. Can't remember exactly where I bought it. Let's talk about subscriptions for a second. Not to change subjects, but if you're new to the channel, welcome. We talk about
rock and roll.
Talk about rock and roll here, exactly, Genevieve. Thank you. If you've been watching for a while now, yet subscribe, please do. Don't leech off my extensive musical knowledge, please. It demeans us both.
Subscribe right
Subscribe.
now.
Yeah, you heard it. You heard it.
Subscribe.
All right, back to the Velvet Underground. Now, Lou Reed, he had his troubles with drugs, particularly the drug heroin, which is about the most destructive drug you can think of. And he tried it way before this album came out. He tried it while he was at Harvard, I believe. And a lot of these songs allude to his use of heroin. I mean, there's actually a song called Heroin on here, which, it's sung with such earnestness that you honestly can feel what he's going through with this horrible drug. It's a soul stealer, and he just lays it down in a way that's just remarkable. Remarkable song. That kicks off side 2. Let's go over the rest of the track listing. Sunday Morning, which is an absolutely beautiful pop song. Great way to start the album, and one of the only normal songs on the whole record. Followed by I'm Waiting for the Man, which is about waiting, the man being the heroin dealer, and the struggle a heroin addict would go through waiting for him to show up. And this was covered by everybody. David Bowie did a cover of this for the BBC in 1972, I believe. That is just an incredible, incredible cover. That's followed by Nico's first song on here, Femme Fatale, backed up by Lou Reed. Very interesting song. Venus and Furs, very interesting. Run, 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 about heroin. All Tomorrow's Parties, another Nico song. Side 2 starts off with Heroin, which we just talked about. And There She Goes Again, another great song. I'll Be Your Mirror, another Nico song. The Black Angels Death Song, which has got the band fired from a gig they had, a long-standing gig. They performed it because they were so sick of performing cover songs that the manager came up to them and said, if you play that song again, you're fired. And they kicked off the next set with it, and they were gone. But that's Lou Reed for you. The last song, European Sun, is really just a lot of noise. The Velvet Underground was Lou Reed, John Cale, Sterling Morris, and Maureen Tucker. And for this album, and this album only, Nico. Nico picked up a heroin addiction while she was doing this album, and it haunted her for 20 years. She died a relatively young woman in 1988, a real tragedy. She was absolutely beautiful, German model. And when she was finished, her looks were gone. She had just been ravaged by the drug. Even though she got off it, she was clean when she died. But my goodness, is that a destructive drug? It's ruined so many great artists. What else can I say about this? It was a very enjoyable listen. I hadn't listened to this from start to finish in quite some time, and it's really an eye-opener when you listen to it in its entirety. What else? What are your thoughts on this? Even though I don't think you've heard it yet. The Trenches.
The trenches.
Heroin will send you to the trenches.
The trenches.
And you will not come back, most likely. All right, that's about it for now. Thank you for tuning in. What will Paisano dig out next week? Tune in Monday night. The album draw. Let me grab the old Pittsburgh Pirates hat. It's in here somewhere, ladies and gentlemen. Monday night. I will draw it, listen to it, and next Saturday I will give you my honest and heartfelt thoughts on it. Until then, good night, YouTube, and thank you. Say good night, John B.
Good night, Slay Queens.
Bye-bye.